Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
The subject of this presentation for the next 2.5 days is live in your Dharma. I would like to really start by telling you a little bit about my own relationship to this subject matter. As Buddha Bhavana said, I'm researching at this on this since a long time. But beyond all this research, I have a very existential role, a relationship with this idea of Dharma, because it saved my life at different times during my service. Many of you know me by now. My name is Sacinandana. Swami. I've just come from a project in Goloka Dham where we've celebrated Nityananda Trayodashi in a really big way. I'm traveling through on my way to Mayapur, where the devotees have requested me to lead them in the Mayapur Kirtan Mela. I'm very, but if it's up to me, I'm really here just because of this Dharma module. It's very important for me because it's something very, let me say, vital to my life, as I said, and it is my first time really where I presented to an audience. It has grown inside my heart since 14 years, and it now will burst out, hopefully like the lava of a volcano. But it will not burn you, it will empower you. I'm very happy that Naveen Krishna Prabhu is with us, because I spoke with him a few times about my vision of the Vedic way, and he has, in his very kind way and very thoughtful way, and always assisting way, and encouraged me, and you will see he has a big part in this seminar, because his own book, The Dharma of Capitalism, I believe, is a bestseller, so I'm feeling a little nervous here before the authority. I'm also happy that James, who is our teacher and who knows many things and is now trying to inculcate, is in a project of Cambridge, I understand. Have you started already? Where the university looks seriously at ways to bring spirituality to the educational field. I'm very happy. But I do have a challenge, because I can't present to you everything. It's 120 something pages and a lot of things in the Dharma library which is made. So I can only give you a taste, but I have made it so compact that I think it will empower you very much. But first, I want to reveal something of my life story, because you will then understand how important Dharma is for me. Many of you know this, that I was born in this life in a very affluent German family. My father is one of the managing directors of the German railway system. It's called Die Bahn, the train system. When you go over the autobahns of Germany and go over the bridges, most probably my father has something to do with building them. although he's now 89 years, this year he will turn 90, his advice is still thought all over the world. For instance, in 2011, I wrote this down, he was invited by the government of China. Why? Because they wanted to have a train system, transport system like the Germans for their evolving industry. Now, my father obviously expected me to go into his footsteps and also become a successful money man. Forgot to say the railway, the train system, traffic system in Germany is privately owned. It's not a government business. So it's a lot of Lakshmi. Thus I was sent at an early age to one of these drill schools, I call them now. It was a prestigious private school and was prepared for life of management. But no matter how hard my teachers tried, and initially I also tried, I always felt that the life of my father was not meant for me. When I would enter this huge building in the center of Hamburg, where my father had a huge office with a lot of secretaries, I felt I was entering prison. I really felt like this, that I wanted to get out of it. My mathematician, you sometimes have to help me with the English. Mathematics teacher, is it called mathematics teacher? Mr. Becker was a war comrade of my father, and he was very good at mathematics, and he tried to train me, but privately he once said, "It seems when I'm teaching your son," he said to my father, "he only waits for the pause bell to ring." He's so absolutely out of place in the life you want to prepare him for. And he was right. I was so terribly bored with this. And as a result, I got embarrassingly bad notes. It was embarrassing. I would only come to the next class by the power of money, bribes which my father desperately paid to the school. I was so bad you can't imagine. I was put to an intelligence test. What is wrong with this boy? The intelligence test said he's beyond average, so intelligent, but what didn't work? I always had the feeling this life, which I was being prepared for, was like walking in a pair of shoes which was 2 numbers too small. Just very painful. Whatever I would do in that type of life was like was walking in these painful or pain-giving shoes. Wherever I would go, I would feel pain. No matter how nice the scenery would be, the money I would earn, the reputation, I knew it was like being in Hawaii with 2 numbers too, with shoes 2 number too small. I would feel pained by the experience. It was only years later when I met Srila Prabhupada where it became very clear to me what was wrong. I liked money, I liked prestige at that time, but I could not find myself in this place of a managing director, nor in the activities that he needed to do. Prabhupada told me in his room, "You are a teacher like me. This is what you are, a teacher. This is your Dharma. But first," he said, "you have to become a good student. First, a good student." He told me this personally into my face. I thought, wow, Krishna. Since that time, where I met Prabhupada, and he just told it into my face, because I was so, I didn't know what to do with my life and where was my place. Also in Krishna consciousness, I just thought, I'm not an eternal dishwasher. This I can't do. I will do it now. And I'm not a book distributor either, although I went to book distribution and did all this, I think you call it rolling, to perform in a role and find out how you are. And it became clear to me when Prabhupada said that my Dharma is something else. And since Prabhupada recognized my own Dharma and engaged me in it, I have answers to the big questions of my life. Why am I here? What is my purpose? And when I am gone, when I die, what do I want to leave behind? And these answers come from a deep place inside of me, my Dharma. My dear devotees, my dear friends, and all of those who will hear the recordings later, Dharma is one of the most powerful forces in life, and one who is connected with his or her Dharma will find unique gifts in his life which God has placed on his path just for him to discover. We will hear when we enter the Dharma module in seriousness what is the result of living in one's Dharma. But I just want to tell you from my experience, my life has not been rosy. I am from, as I said, my history is black. My father's history is not nice. He became very well known in Germany for what he did in the traffic system. But before that, he was known for something else, which is a dark spot in our family, his participation in the Nazi crimes, which were done. Like all of us, I have also erred in my life. I made many mistakes and was confused at times. But whenever I visit my life now, from where I stand now, after Prabhupada revealed my Dharma to me, whenever I revisit my life, I can see the pain and the confusion and the unfulfillment arose whenever I left the path of my Dharma, even slightly. And whatever confusion and problems were in my life seemed to disappear magically like fog when the sun of my Dharma again rose in my life. And so in this seminar, I'm committed to give you a practical understanding about the universal principles of Dharma, how this cosmic force works, and what it could mean for your own life. And further, I wish to present to you practical tools that will help you to find your own Dharma and thus be in the place of your own strengths. The Dharma module is taught not just in 3 or 4 sessions. It takes a lot of time, and we have Dharma counselors who are trained in psychology and coaching to help people find their Dharma if it is a little bit more difficult than, or if it's not, if they need advice or help if they can't do it on their own. But here I will give you some things which can work immediately, something to get you started. But I wish to also say, to live in your Dharma will be a lifelong project. Just like me, you will see when you leave the path of your own Dharma, life will get out of sync. but if you find your Dharma and discover it again, as it evolves, you will be very, very, very happy. Krishna, this is my own commitment. I wanted to just share with you why I'm here, why I like this subject matter very much. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Now we have to see. I will now explain to you what is it, what Dharma exactly is, and then we will make a little pause, then we will have another session, then we make another pause, then we have another session. Let me just ask you, how are you? You look like typical Pandava Senas, totally overworked and not rested and not slept well and totally out of your tree of life. or is it all right? Is this Ganasya, Priya? Oh, Hare Krishna. How are you? Do we need to do exercises? Or maybe we do. What do you think, Naveen? You arrived at 12 o'clock and then you couldn't sleep because it was no beds and all of this. Is it right? Why don't we make some powerful, energizing movements? Yes? But I really don't like to do this with devotees. You are all devotees. I'm very free with the non-devotee audience. I think we should do, no? I also feel. So, ladies and gentlemen, you must know that by our karma, each one of us is placed in this universe in a very, very particular life situation. Our physique is unique, the way we look. The way we think is unique. The way we respond to things which happen to our life is unique. We are so unique, each one of us, that our fingerprint is so rare that there's only one fingerprint like yours. That's your own fingerprint. No one else has the same fingerprint as you. Do you know this? That's why when you come to America and they want you to give an identification, the fingerprint is enough, because by that fingerprint we know. So we all have a very unique situation. Shouldn't our life be also unique to us? Do you think a life where you're pressed in one form, the way the industry needs you, will be your own life? No. It must be your life. The Greek philosopher Plato expressed it like this: there's one place which only you can fill, nobody else. And there's something which waits for you to do, which only you can do. Why then live the life of somebody else? A good point, no? So, what he alludes to is what we call Dharma, your own place in life, your unique mission in life, your unique, really your own life. Dharma is an ancient concept. It comes from the Sanskrit root dri, which means that which supports or upholds. Dharma transcends any particular religion and also goes beyond the aspiration in people to do the right thing. Dharma is more the underlying essence of existence. It's the omnipresent power of the natural law. To give you a simple example, this fire here, left and right of you, it has a Dharma, a unique way of expression, and that it is hot and it burns and so on. And that, in philosophy you would say that so-sein, Kant used to say this so-being is the direct translation of this philosophical concept, the so-being of that fire, that is its Dharma. The Dharma of water, Prabhupada says, is that it is liquid, and the Dharma of the soul is that it is a servant. There are three types of Dharma. Dharma in relationship to oneself, which relates to finding one's own place and meaning for one's life. Then there's Dharma that's called Swadharma. Then there is Dharma in relationship to others, which defines how to think, act and talk in our relationship to people, and also how to act towards the inanimate world, the world of objects. So Dharma in relationship to myself, where's my place, what's my activities. Dharma in relationship to others, how to act dharmically towards them. And then there is Dharma in relationship to the spiritual reality. That is that type of Dharma which speaks about our spiritual essence as a soul and our relationship to the Supreme. Is that clear, or do I go too fast? Is it, you are all intelligent, I think. So, there's a specific Dharma for everyone. This is the main point here, including humans, animals, plants, and even molecules. The Dharma makes us the way we are. In the huge clockwork of the universe, where one thing says the other, each one finds his place. And once you have found your own Dharma, it is amazing. You will find the whole universe galloping. Galloping means moving forward with a hurry to come to your help. It's almost the moment the little clock wheel is in the whole system. The whole system supports the individual thing. Or to give you another example, which I gave in the past, the moment these attractive little bulbs here, which you see, it's a new invention of Pandava Sena. This morning, you remember, we didn't know what was coming, and then Abhishek went on the stage, and he connected the individual bulbs with the huge electricity, which is somewhere generated near Swindon, I believe, and the whole thing woke to life and gave this most amazing light, which looks like a mixture of discotheque and the British flag, which in the night went to the sky to detect the German bombers, It's a very good example. Once you are properly in if this bulb would be rolling on the floor near Jai Krishna, it wouldn't give any light because it would not be connected. In the same way, if you are rolling about in your life without being connected with your Dharma, you don't give any Dharmic light. Your life is without a purpose, and so on. It's a simple example which can help you understand. The moment a light bulb gets connected with its socket and with the whole system, it warms up and spreads light. Until that moment, it remains cold and has absolutely no splendor. Therefore, the Vedas proclaim Sthanam pradhanam. It's really like an encouragement to all of us. Shyam Sundar, Hare Krishna. You give pleasure to our eyes. Sthanam pradhanam means one who has found his place in his Dharma, moves forward with strength. Pradhanam. If you have found your place or your Dharma, you move forward with strength. Not necessarily your own strength. And Yudhishthira says, Yato Dharmas tato jaya. Where there's Dharma, there's victory. The explanation is very simple. When you are in your Swadharma, that's an important term, it means your specific Dharma, you are connected and empowered by this cosmic force, the Dharma. Thus the Manu Samhita informs us, our Buddha Bhavana, our Pandit has told us, Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, Dharma eva hato hanta. It means one who protects his Dharma is protected by Dharma. One who hurts his Dharma is hurt by Dharma. Hare Krishna. There is one problem I want to tell you about finding your Dharma. It's your wrong value system. We often think in life, I want to have opulence, recognition, money maybe, a position, and I do this. But the Dharmic approach is, I want to first be what I am, I want to be in my right place, then I want to do the right activities which come from this, and from that I will have contentment. But here, in this merchandise society, everyone thinks about having things and not being in their place, in their right place. And this screws the Dharma search up. I told some of you, I forgot when, my experience in Berlin. One of our rich friends had given me an apartment where I would be when I where I would be when I would come back from my tours. I would live in the temple, but I would work in this apartment to write all the letters and to do everything. And every evening something happened which I would like to tell you. The apartment in this huge villa next to mine was the apartment of his daughter, Dorothea. Dorothea came back at around 6:30. I would hear how she opened her apartment and closed it. Then I heard the sound of beautiful violin playing, and after some time, only 10 minutes, it became like heavy metal violin playing. Then she started to scream. Then the next thing I heard, furniture being thrown against the walls. I tolerated this for 1 week, and then one evening, she had just come back. I knocked at the door and said, Dorothea, are you going to do your big act again? Why? I hear every day the same thing. You go inside, you play violin, it becomes a real disturbance, you know, and then you start to throw your furniture around. What is wrong with you? What is wrong? Oh, she said, I wanted to become a violinist. My parents said, this will not bring you any money. You will not have any money. Become a doctor. I became a doctor. I'm well paid, but it's not me. And so every time I come home, I play violin. Then as I play violin, I remember my parents destroyed my life by forcing me to become a well-paid doctor. I become so mad that I look at my apartment. Everything is here. Look at the walls. I threw the furniture out. I mean, I'm so frustrated in life. This is the situation of many of you. Not you. The people, normal people. Because of a wrong value system, I have to have money, I have to have position. You are not doing what you're meant to do. There is one Martin Luther King who did a very nice I will say, Krishna warns us of this wrong behavior. He says, it is far better to follow one's own Dharma, even imperfectly, than to follow another's Dharma perfectly. For to follow another's path is dangerous even, dangerous. I must say, I always appreciated Martin Luther King. When I was in Atlanta, there was a Martin Luther King exhibition, and I noted down, I was at the airport and I just happened to pass through, I noted down a saying of him. He said, about the glories of being in one's Dharma, he said, if a man, you know how they speak, if a man, those politicians, is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, you know, okay. Or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. He says, better be in your Dharma, better be in your Dharma. If your Dharma happens to be a street sweeper, you will be content, it will be a glorious life. You will be as glorious as Shakespeare, Michelangelo, Beethoven, who had other who had poetry, music, and paintings in their Dharma, making paintings in their Dharma. So, when you want to enter the life of Dharma, when you want to live your Dharma, you must say goodbye to this value system which we have all imbibed in our system, where we try to have something, have money, have beauty, have influence, and kill ourselves by leaving our natural Dharma. This is very important for me to say right at the outset. That in this Dharma module, you need to enter a different value system in order that the be, do, have value system, which is a sattvic value system which we have learned already in the Sattva module, that I can't explain now. You have to come to the whole life school, it's like a university, but you must enter the be, do, have value system. I want to be at my place. I want to be the person I am. I want to be that unique person which I was created for. That is most important. Who cares for money? That's boring. And you will see, if you go be, do, have, you will have whatever you need, because he who finds his Dharma will be taken care of by Dharma. There is no person, whoever was in his Dharma, who had to starve. It's not possible. It doesn't work. Our beloved scripture, Bhagavad Gita, invokes this concept by saying, Dharma Kshetra Guru Kshetra. The first word of the Bhagavad Gita, Dharma. It is famous for teaching us our own unique place, Svadharma, Arjuna was the example, and teaching us more important even, our eternal Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, and relationship to Krishna. Now I want to end this session with two things. I want to tell you a little story. Yesterday I promised in the car, Sunil drove us very nicely. We drove so nicely, so swiftly we drove, so securely we drove, with good light inside. Everything was available in Sunil's car. And we discussed, and I promised tomorrow I will tell you a story which will make you laugh and which will make you cry. Here it is, fresh for you. Hare Krishna. Abhishek, you ready?
Yes.
Good. I have to tell it good. Once upon a time, this is how all good stories start. The animals came together to organize the first Olympic game called Faulympics. Faulympics, like fauna. Fauna means animals. Because it was a very new venture, only 5 areas of competition were chosen. Running, swimming, digging, climbing and flying. All types of species were equally allowed to participate, but this was special. Everyone had to compete in all these 5 areas. It was like a triathlon. It was a tri means punchathlon, you know. So running, swimming, digging, climbing and flying, yes. So the rabbit was the first to start. As expected, he did exceptionally well in running, but achieved only poor results in the other disciplines. When he tried to fly, in the opinion of some of the jury, he did also well by jumping very high, but the jury was split on this because the others said, this doesn't count really as flying, it was jumping. He did this already when he ran. But it looked very heavy. Then the duck started after him. It was a different case. It did exceptionally well in swimming and flying. But when it came to digging the earth, the duck looked so ridiculous that everyone who was in the stadium broke out in hysterical laughter. He went with the beak and did the earth. The next to try was the wild boar. It started by digging the ground. Wonderful, everyone exclaimed as the clumps of earth were flying left and right. The boar also ran almost as fast as the rabbit. Swimming went fine, but when it tried to fly, it went up a hill, it took a leap, it fell so badly that the doctor had to be called. Now up to this stage, the eagle, who's after all the king of the sky, had looked with some reservation. He didn't know if he should participate or not, but when the boar failed in flying, he thought, I can do better, and his pride was awakened, and he was flying. He took to the sky and flew so fast and elegantly that everyone on the ground applauded. He then tried his best in digging the earth and then in swimming and running, but no matter how much effort he put into these disciplines, the results were simply not convincing. Still, everything would have been fine if there would not have been a grave problem. When the eagle tried to climb up the tree, he felt just so out of place that he, in great frustration, just jumped from wherever he was and flew in the sky. And the last thing everyone, the animals heard from him was his scream. He said everyone should do what he's best in. Everyone should just follow his Dharma. Point is clear. An obvious message is you need to find your Dharma. Then you will stand out amongst the many. Dharma is really not a lifeless concept, but it breathes life in everything which you do once you are in Dharma. Therefore, Valmiki in the Ramayana opens his arms and says, from Dharma comes prosperity. Only from Dharma flows happiness. From Dharma comes self-realization. By Dharma, everything is attained. Dharma is the essence of this world. So I would like to now read a little something to you, which I call the fruits of Dharma. It's how you feel when you are in your Dharma. And as I read this, you can check how dharmically you are. I will ask Ravi to go up. I would like to make this a little bit like a meditative exercise. Not really, we will do a lot of meditation, but here just where I request you to sit, to put your notepads or the electrical telephones and so on aside, because I would like to now take you a little bit to into an exercise where you should yourself find out if you are in your Dharma right now, if you are maybe approaching your Dharma, if you are just miles and light years away from your Dharma maybe. I have gone through our scriptures and studied the life of people who were in their Dharma and the lives of people who were not in their Dharma. Then I compared it with, how people feel at their workplaces, and compared quite an interesting list from this, which I will read it to you, and then I will ask you to turn to a neighbor and discuss this. Yeah, no, this doesn't work. Yes, this works. Maybe you can sit peacefully so that you don't look as someone who has gone, who uses the facilities. I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't. Okay, are you ready? So nice to see you, Ganashyam Priya. You are so effulgent this morning. Very nice. I think Ganashyam Priya Prabhu is a presenter and he likes to see someone else present. I will just read something to you and you just let the sentence work on you. When you are in your Dharma, you feel you lead a meaningful life which totally satisfies you. When you are not in your Dharma, you wonder if what you do has any meaning to you, and whatever you do, you are never quite satisfied. When you are in your Dharma, you do not just do well in an activity, you just can't imagine to not do it. When you are not in your Dharma, you are not sure if you should be doing this at all, what you are doing. When you are in your Dharma, mostly it is that people, circumstances and arrangements come into your life effortlessly and help you. And whenever you're not in your Dharma, most of what you do is a struggle. When you are in your Dharma, your gifts and talents come to your aid, so that you have the strength to easily accomplish your work. When you're not in your Dharma, whatever it is that you are doing, you seem to only accomplish it with great effort, and it seems never good enough. When you are in your Dharma, you take wise risks because you trust fully in the maxim, one who acts in his Dharma is protected by Dharma. It can't go wrong. I'm a teacher, I will try this now. It can't go wrong. It's a risk, but it's my Dharma. When you are not in your Dharma, you are always fearful of disaster that will strike. You have always images of the worst case scenarios in your mind. There is a huge list. I won't do all the list. But I will go now to something very, very thought-provoking. Last point. When you're in your Dharma, you're generally in good health. And if illness does come, you somehow can deal with it. When you're not in your Dharma, you're constantly getting ill and you don't know what's wrong and how to get well. See, it's dangerous to be not in one's Dharma. Krishna had said that in the Gita. To follow another Dharma, that means to not be in my own Dharma, is dangerous. Dangerous to the extent that people first have an uneasy feeling in life. That's mostly the case. I've also spoken with many Pandava Senas, which, as you know, and they all express, oh Maharaj, there's an uneasy feeling. That's the first warning which comes. If you ignore it, which most of you do, then you get an illness. If you ignore that and still don't make changes in your life, you get a chronic disease. If you ignore that also and don't change in your life and go to the Dharma, my dear people, you will have an accident. And if you ignore that, you will have a death. And if you ignore that, you have another birth. And the whole blues continues. Anti-Dharma. I have not found my Dharma. We should actually make a blues. I have not found my Dharma. So miserable. I would like to now now where this is fresh, I request you to turn to your neighborji, man to man, and just anyone is good enough. Mataji's to Mataji. One of the Dharmic principles is honesty, and I request you to connect with this now. I request you to remember a time in your life, a very specific time that means something which you did during this time or where you were placed during this time. I will actually team up with Bhuta Bhavana and describe to your neighbor a time and an activity where you really did excellently well. And what is more important than this is describe the feelings which you had at that time. How did it feel? How was it for you? It can be anything, it can be something, your Swadharma here in this world, maybe an activity. It could also be when you discovered your Sanatana Dharma and became involved in Krishna consciousness in all seriousness. I request you to remember a specific event. It must be specific, not let me say, I joined the university and I felt blissful. No, it should be, I joined the university, I took my first course in psychology, and I felt just that I found something which totally interests me. Or you could say, I would say, for instance, the first time I felt it was I had come with the devotees out. I had been in great turmoil because my parents had so much pressure on me that I performed well in this management school. And as I described to you, I felt like being in prison and being miserable. And then I came to the devotees and I didn't know, they were so different. They came from a different social background than me. But then they said, let's go out on Harinam Sankirtan. I said, yes, let us do that. And I went with them and we started to sing. And first I was very self-conscious, I remember, because so many people knew me. I was with these strange people, then Mr. Förster came by, I tell you another time. Who was Mr. Förster? And I felt so bad, but then I said, no, I'm now participating fully. So I started to chant and dance, and then I found out that's me. I like to sing, I like to be loud, but in God consciousness, I like to dance, and I felt so empowered because a connection had been made. The light bulb finally was in his socket, and was now, I felt a tremendous power of Sanatana Dharma in this case. So, something specific we are looking for. Describe a time and an activity where you really excelled in performing and what feelings you had at that time. Yes? you're looking at me, and I think it is now time for you to become active, at least a little later. Present to you something which is, in my mind, really one of the important, for next session, the session after in the next session, I will teach you about your Dharma house, how to construct a place for you in your life so that you are living in Dharma. And then that very important last session comes. Our Syam Gopal has good news for you. We will now... Yes, Syam Gopal. In your last exercise, were you able to isolate or identify a situation where you felt that was dharmic? Did you feel that there's some great... I would like to ask you a question now. Do you want to live like this always, or do you want to live someone else's life? This very important question. I know it's a rhetoric question, that means it contains the answer in the question. But my dear devotees, I really want to shake you up now a little bit. Why not always live like this? Of course, I understand there are ups and downs in life which have to be there as long as we are in the material world, which is a place of duality where happy day and night and happiness and distress come. But I mean, just in general, I think many of you don't give yourself the permission to live like this because you feel, oh, I should live the way the society around me expects me to live. And the second thing is, even if you want to live in your Dharma, you might not know how to reach your Dharma from where you are now, and where the Dharma waits for you, your own Dharma. And starting from in this session, I would like to give you some tools how to find your Dharma. We will do a Dharma quest session now. Now the first model which I want to introduce to you is the Dharma house, which we have prepared for you. The Dharma house is a model that helps you to discover your unique purpose in life. It is an essential puzzle, an essential tool which helps you in your Dharma quest. We say in English quest, if we search for something. Dharma quest is a good word. Fine. Just like a good house, a good English house, rests on fundaments which are invisible, therefore we have not shown it here in Shubal Sharp's excellent Michelangelo-like drawing. Our Dharma house needs a fundament. And just like any house who has walls which build like the main corpus or body of the house, our Dharma house also requires something which is visible, something like the tree of life, how we stand in this world, visible to one and all. Just like any good house needs a roof, our Dharma house also requires a roof. Now the foundations of our Dharma house are 4 pillars, the 4 pillars of Dharma, which we will discuss in the Dharma Codex. Maybe foundation, the 4 pillars of Dharma, or the Dharma Codex. Is codex an English word? In German it's a perfect English word. Yes, we adopt, it's now international, so international word codex we also say. The Dharma Codex means to act according to the universal principles of Dharma. It's the fundament. And this is very important. Please write down Shubhasham, acting according to the universal principles of Dharma. The walls of the Dharma house, I will not explain these walls now, I will explain them later, are called Swadharma. You can please write an arrow to the walls and that says Swadharma. Or just next to the walls, you can write Swadharma. Yes, like this. It's so good to work together with you. Swadharma. And the roof of our Dharma house is Sacinandana. So I would just like to briefly give the explanation for each one, but dwell really on the Dharma Codex. So the Dharma Codex means to act according to the universal principle of Dharma. I found this word Dharma code, Prabhupada says, in the Bhagavatam, and tomorrow morning we will read the Bhagavatam verse and Prabhupada's purport. And I just made it a little bit more modern by writing an X after Dharma Codex. That's where I got it from. Then the Dharma walls really is Swadharma. That's our unique place in life and the corresponding activities. You don't need to write this down, Shubhasham, because we will deal with this later. Later we will write this down. And the roof, which is over everything and which connects us with above, with the cosmos and beyond, is living in our eternal relationship with the Lord. So now, I really want to start with the Dharma Codex. I will ignore all the others for now, because we have to go one by one. We will talk now laying about the foundation of the Dharma. There is a great difference between what we teach in the Dharma model and modern self-help programs and so on. The difference between the modern self-help programs and the Dharma approach, I will talk about this now. There are virtually millions of programs in the internet. Millions is maybe an exaggeration, but many, where it says find your purpose, your unique place, etc. Usually these programs or methods work by taking the person through some questions and helping him explore some subjects, like what is your talent? For what do you feel a passion? What does your conscience tell you should do? Find out where you're needed. I've done really a lot of research, and this is the 4 most responsible questions. While these methods help you to be a little bit more aware about how you tick, so to say, they don't suffice to find out your unique Dharma. You know, when someone who has little or no idea about what he is supposed to do, why he has taken birth, tries to now think of what he is capable of doing, he will come out with very poor and speculative results which don't have that force, to really change his life and transform him in such a way that he comes from a life ordinary to a life less ordinary. Do you recognize this phrase? It's not by speculation or thinking. You don't think yourself into a new way of life. Any such methods where you psychoanalytically go into this, they would simply be a slight extension. You would arrive at a slight extension to your present limitations. That's all. You won't have a force, really. Dharma is a force, it's something beyond you. It's a universal force which the Lord has placed here, like electricity is a force, and so on. Just like seeds don't know really what they will look like exactly as banyan trees, someone who's now not knowing about his Dharma can speculate the hell into heaven, like these Think Positive programs do. This was a slight whip to my colleagues. There is another path available. Act yourself into your Dharma, or act dharmically so that you discover the force of Dharma. Goethe used to say, knowledge about what is within ourselves is best learned not by contemplation, but by action. Strive to do your duty, Dharma, and you will soon discover of what stuff you are really made. So the Dharma Codex offers us a wonderful process to find out our true potential, to discover it. And it is not, I want to again say this, by sitting in a room, even not this room, that you will discover your true purpose. No, it's by living dharmically that you can grow. My dear devotees, out there is a real life with all its challenges and with its opportunities. If you align yourself with powerful principles, all of a sudden you will seize those opportunities and you will be amazed what will happen. You will feel a strength that allows you to cross over the mountains of your own conditioning, not by thinking, but by connecting with Dharmic principles. And it is there, beyond your limitations, where the world of unlimited possibilities lie. I find this very encouraging. Connect now with Dharmic principles, and we will do this soon. And you will, and Dharma will show you the way. I find this so, I have tried so much to figure it out. Remember, as I told you, why am I not feeling well? I'm so rich. As a little boy, I was already so rich. I have everything. I'm going to the prestigious schools, and the people say I can make it. I'm intelligent beyond average, but why do I feel like a tiger behind bars and just want to break out from this life? What is wrong? And I couldn't imagine what I should do. I thought maybe I should go and drive to England to the Rolling Stones and ask them if I can be a member of their little orchestra. I thought maybe I drop all this and become a rock and roll star. Then I felt, no, this is too superficial, and so I had no clue. Then my initiation came. And I had to give 4 promises. I didn't know why they were so important. I lived like this anyways now. Only later, when I studied with Prabhupada said the Dharma code, then I found out why this is so important. And I now strongly believe if someone doesn't know what is behind these 4 rules and regulations, he will not live them properly. He will not be very convinced, and he will not see the whole. Now you have to help me with the English word. Is it called the bandwidths of what they are? Bandwidth? And you just see a little thing about them, and it will not be very encouraging for you. There are 4 pillars, just like in Shubha Sham's beautiful house. Maybe you can try to add a fundament to it with if you have studied medicine, you will know some maybe transparent fundament. I don't know how to try. Maybe what? Foundation, yeah, like maybe some pillars, or I don't know how you, yeah, something, yes, you're good. Oh, you are intelligent, yeah. We will deal now with this fundament. These 4 pillars are, write it down, young boys and girls. Truthfulness, discipline, purity, and compassion. These are the 4 pillars. In our tradition, in order to maintain truthfulness, the student is asked to refrain from gambling and lying. In order to maintain one's discipline or austerity or tapa, the student is asked to refrain from what? Intoxication, thank you. With intoxication, you are no longer able to do anything disciplined. I know because I preached a lot amongst the hippies, and the most important activity of the hippies is to lie down somewhere on the hip. That's why they're called hippies. Yes, it comes from the hip. They lie down very nicely. There are, these mattresses on the floor. That is the Wohnkultur, the living culture of the hippie. He lies on his hip, and then he speculates how he will overtake the world. It is a very, very pronounced. Maybe you also have this in your life. You may not. Thinking, tamago, never doing anything, because it's destroyed by any type of intoxication, even the whiskey in your father's whiskey shack. We know you're from good families. In order to maintain inner and outer purity, the student is requested to refrain from what? Illicit sexual connections. Right. It is outer purity, but mostly inner purity. You begin to think about this morning to time. You have never done this, so you don't know. But I have heard it just morodes the character. Therefore, future emperors of the Persian Empire, they always were put to boarding schools for only men. That was a principle, to keep them away from this because their inner purity would suffer from all this thinking, how do I look? Is my odor which comes from the armpit appropriate or not? And so on. It is, anyways, I don't want to give these bad examples. And in order to remain compassionate to others, the student is requested to do what? Yes, he's requested to refrain from harming others, which is finding its epitome in participating in the slaughterhouse industry. So you can see the four principles of Dharma which you need to adopt in seriousness in order to find your whole Dharma, to make your whole Dharma house so that you can live in your Dharma, in your unique place, is first of all, my dear devotees, the foundations of spiritual life, the Dharmic principles. And they are, again, let us go through them. First, thank you. Second, thank you. Third, yes, inner and outer purity. It's good to say, to have this. Say it. Inner and outer purity. And the fourth is compassion. Have you all understood how this relates to our four regulative principles? It is easy to see, no? This is in the Bhagavatam in one purport. It is, and it struck me when I saw, my God, is this profound? My God, is this profound? I thought. But the real effect starts only when you act according to these Dharmic principles. Again, the four rules and regulations you will do automatically. But if you just do the four rules and regulations and not understand the whole bandwidth of it, what it means really, you will only scratch the tip of an iceberg and not the whole thing. And you will not connect really to Dharmic principles, to the force of Dharma which push you forward. For instance, truthfulness. In this workshop I will teach truthfulness and not the others. Truthfulness is so important, my dear devotees, to tell the truth. I cannot talk enough about this, but I made a mistake. I want to talk about purity. And I will talk especially about inner purity, because I think as Pandava Senas who live in London with all the advertisement, the movies, the universities where we go, where they do everything in the book and more. The inner purity, I want to talk a little bit about this. Gandhi said, I will not allow anyone to walk through my mind with their dirty shoes on. Do we have this in English households? When in North Germany we are, when you have dirty shoes, you're supposed to leave them outside of your house. So what is about your mind? It's much more important than the outer space. Your inner space is so much important that there should be no dirt. The 5 yamas of Patanjali's classical yoga system are 5 commitments that affect the relationship to others, like for instance non-violence. But there are 5 niyamas that are personal obligations to oneself. And socha, or purity, is part of these niyamas. External cleanliness means cleaning the body regularly and ingesting pure food. Have you seen after a shower that you just act positively and better? And have you seen when you don't do it and you smell and so on, that you are not so joyful, not so energetic, but this is external purity. Internal cleanliness means purifying the mind of contaminations like jealousy. Does this happen in Pandava Sena? I am so jealous of Dhruva. He's the next president. Oops. You need to cleanse the mind from pride. Here comes one for the vanity, hatred, attachments. Bojaraj, that is a philosopher, says that internal cleanliness is automatically accomplished if you are benevolent towards others, that means a friendly attitude to all. I would like to ask you, while you're here on the Pandava Sena mentorship retreat, to adopt an attitude of Vaishnav Seva and friendliness towards Vaishnavas. Do the extra mile, talk to each other, support each other, and you will see how this will be cleansing you, and you will feel very good inside because you connect to a Dharmic principle. It means an extra mile, an extra step to be benevolent to others. That will clean up your internal system automatically by just this one activity. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says compassion is the main dharma of all Vaishnavas. We had talked about this earlier. I'm just reminding you so that you can see how the Vedic way is really interconnected. Everything appears again in different forms and modulations. So if you act like this, externally clean and internally with a sense of purity, you will see that something happens. Patanjali writes, when the mind is purified, one attains cheerfulness, one-pointedness, sense control, and fitness to perceive the self. That's just when the mind gets purified, when the heart gets clean, when you are free from this anger, lust, greed, and so on. You will be cheerful, you will be focused, and have sense control and fitness to perceive the self. And when you see that you are harassed by counteracting, by negative thoughts, oh, he snores so loud, does he have no decency? And he's my neighbor, you know. That is because he has eaten 20,000 gulab jamans. Look at his oversized body, you know. When you are seeing negative thoughts like this, you must immediately do a technique that is put a counteracting positive thought. No, he came to the Pandava Sena retreat. He's spiritually interested. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. He is, and focus on that. That is Bogaraj. That is Patanjali's system of acting with inner purity. You must take this greed out of your life, this anger or desires, these negative emotions, because they can ruin your whole life. And Ravi will now show us a movie, believe it or not. And we will now test his ability to work with the technique. Mostly, yes, he's not ready, like I thought. So please take this. So as Ravi sets up, my dear devotees, my dear Pandava Senas, if you do not act with purity in your mind, your whole life will be ruined, because what you think of, that is what you become. Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita by saying, Sada tat bhava bhavita. That means your bhava, your thought, your inner mood will describe your bhava. Bhava means that is your existence in this world. Can you give me a sign when you are ready? I will talk until that moment. On the other side, when you have purity in your mind and you have, that is out what shouldn't be there, at that time everything is available. Prabhupada once said, everything is available for the enthusiastic person. But many of us allow ourselves to go into a downward leading spiral of negative emotions. They start here, like someone who goes in these holiday park, there are these spirals where you, what is it called? You sit down, you go, what is it called? A slide, yes. You slide down when you get your negative emotions. Now we will have a little movie in the sound available. It is. So we can see. What happens to some?
The marshmallow test is a psychology experiment from the late 1960s, designed by a guy called Walter Mischel. The idea is you give young children a marshmallow and say you can eat it straight away, or if you don't eat it and hold on for 10 minutes, you can get a second marshmallow. It's all about delayed gratification, and Mischel said that those people who are good at marshmallow tests went on to have more successful lives. Now we're going to see whether the test works just as well with children.
Thank you. So in this test, they revisited the children when they were 20 years old. And the one who had no discipline and was I think it's a little cruel to do this with little children. Anyways, who had no, and was overcome by his lust for lust for marshmallows, had a very, let me say, I think it was some low income job, and the other person who had been able to refrain from that and lust was like a high-paying executive manager. That was the test. Maybe James, you have heard about this test. You've heard, it's an emotional intelligence by Mr. Gold. There's a book, Emotional Intelligence. I read it there. Anyways, I feel bad to give such a materialistic example. I somehow, when the non-devotees do something like this, I feel like poor children, and I lose the point. But I think the idea is clear. Whatever is in your inner state, that will describe your reality like this. That one child, that one. We are like children. Some of us are so dominated by the forces within that, especially the bad ones, anger, lust, greed, that they dominate our whole life. They come from a subconscious area which we are not aware of, and deal with us like the puppeteers do with puppets on a string. Inner purity helps you to be at your good place in life, and you will be able to find very quickly dharmic principles, Dharma. But if you don't follow this purity thing, you will just be pulled in one direction and away from everything. I want to make this a little bit more clear by making with you all now an experiment. I will ask Ganesham Priya Prabhu to come forward. Is it all right with you? I will not. It's a very decent exercise. And I will do an exercise with Ganesham Priya, which I then request you all to do. It will show you a little bit how inner purity, that is freedom don't worry, it sounds scary, you know, oh, Maharaj will now check how pure I am inside. Soon I will be on ISKCON news. Don't worry, Ghanshyam Priya, we are related with deep mutual appreciation. It will be very nice. I will want to show you how your inner life, that is your inner purity, will describe the way you feel and the way you act and will control your whole life. Because we want to show how inner purity is how necessary it is to do. So, actually you can all partner up now and look at Ghanshyam Priya and myself, what we do. That is actually the best. Yes, give me a microphone. Can you find, I'm getting a little, let us do like this. No, come, Ghanshyam Priya. Are you in good medical condition at the moment?
Bordering on a cold.
Good, so I will take this in consideration. No, I'm joking, some joke must be there. I will just see your inner strengths. I will do a kinesiological test with you to see how your moods and what goes on affects your inner strengths. And I know after you've done this, you will be more careful of inner purity from your mind of negative thoughts. So, doing this the first time I have to, I did it a few times, but in this constellation. Can you all see us? No? Then you might have to sit somewhere else. You're very joyful. How can we do it then? I think this is okay. So, Ghanshyam, I will put my arm on your shoulder, and I will request you to put this arm, the left arm, out like this. I will now request you to really do what I tell you. You can close your eyes, and I will want to request you to give me a very strong, enthusiastic, a very miserable no. No, I'm not trusting your exercise, Maharaj. This is no. Okay, and I will press down your arm and see the level of your resistance. No, you resist. Okay, that was easy. Can you see, or do we have to? Now, this is better. Ghanshyam Priya. Now give me an enthusiastic yes. My God! Arnold Schwarzenegger! Have you seen that he was stronger? Yeah. We are not cheating. No, honestly. Let's do something else. Show Ghanshyam Priya a smiley. You have to come here. Put it there. It's amazing. You will see. Can you see the smiley? You have all seen the smiley. Meditate now on the smiley. So look at it and resist with all your force. A frosty now. You can just show everyone. frosty means someone who's frustrated. Can you imbibe this drawing, please? Mm. No, you should really be frustrated. Think of the London weather. Think of the injustice of the world and how everything is so slow and you don't have enough money. It's a little difficult because we are a little joyful by nature. Try. Be serious, guys, young here. The world is frustrating. No one understands you really. No problem. Is this really? Okay, try. Resist. You should resist more. Is it really like this? You're not cheating.
No, no cheating. I didn't know we'd be doing this today.
So much frustration, it's unbearable. And the Second World War was so unjust, and London was bombed by these foolish Germans. Yeah, it's really easy. It's really easy. He has no resilience. Is it resilience?
Resistance.
Resilience, yes. You will check with your partners also. You will. Now, imagine a situation in your life, Ganesh Yampriya. Maybe you close your eyes. And this is the best one. Where you really have negative emotions towards. Is there something in your life, like, I understand you go to the university completed or completed? Are you working at it? Is it always good in your working place? Is there something which is frustrating in your life? You don't need to tell this. Is there something?
I guess there's always certain things.
Yeah, but that's too vague. You need to see.
Think of things in the past.
Yeah, maybe think of the past. Right. Present life is totally all right, 100%. But the past, yes. Good. Can you think of something? And you got it? You tell us. You got it. Resistance test. And really give your best to resist me. Something really negative. It goes very fast, yes. Now, Ganeshyapriya, the best part of the exercise. Then you're done. Imagine a situation, please, where you have negative, where a situation in your life where you really have positive emotions towards. Maybe something of the present. It seems, when I saw you coming in, you had a very good effulgence, isn't it? Good, how do you say this in good proper English when someone is in the strength? Good aura, yeah, good. You came in and you were smiling, and I was really thinking, wow, Ganesh Yampriya is a happy person. Wonderful. Good. So think of a very specific situation, please. Maybe at your working place, maybe with some very good friend, maybe you walk with him or talk, something very concrete which you know. So you will give me resistance, please. It's my dear devotees, my dear friends, dear skeptics, you will now try this also. It is not that I'm saying something to you. It is really some strength comes by having the mind free from these negative things. You know, it really some strength. There are research work. This is just a small little exercises. How the best pharmacy which is there is your inner purity.
It's a Dharmic principle. It's something everyone can feel. It's like grabbing with your hand to the electricity and you get it. So I request you now to make pairs. Maybe you would be so kind to go to Naveen Krishna and let him experience this in his life. It's a serious exercise. I want you all to applaud to Ganesh Yampriya for. Thank you very much. Very good. It was a pleasure. And isn't it Ganesh Yampriya? No fanciful thinking. It is really like this. It is really like this. So let us all experience this now. The idea is we want to connect with, we want to see how our mental attitudes, like inner purity, is both a state and it's also attitude. We want to see this now. Please make pairs. Maybe you want to go with people you're friendly with, or you can do it with anyone. Find a pair, and then I will give you instructions. Thank you very much. Ravi, could we please remove the flip chart now to the other place? With this little test, I just wanted to show to you, or this test really shows one principle, how powerful mental attitudes are, how they give us really strengths or disempower us. It's known, and I think it is not coming as a total surprise, but I know when you make such an experience and it works, like really when it, obviously as one who gives a lecture, I like that it works, you know, with the examples, but I was surprised when Ganesh Yampriya's reaction was so strong when he had these positive orientations, in comparison to how relatively weak he was when he had this negative orientations. Internal cleanliness means really purifying the mind of all contaminations like jealousy, pride, vanity, hatred, attachments, all this negativity. And again, I want to say to you, there are few things how you can keep internally clean. Psychologically, you can keep internally clean by just keeping an attitude of well-meaning, an attitude of benevolence, a friendly attitude towards all. Srila Vyasadeva has a verse on internal purity. He says, "Burning in the fire of this world, I've taken shelter now of yoga by committing myself to the welfare of all creatures. I want that they are well. After having renounced my perverse thoughts like anger and hatred, if I again resort to them, I'm behaving like a dog who licks his vomit." I agree, these are strong words. Srila Vyasadeva he uses them by saying, why can't I just keep pure? Why can I not have an attitude of welfare towards others? Why I have already renounced these bad thoughts like hatred and vanity and so on. If I again now, after I've started my path in spiritual life, resort to these things, I'm like this four-legged animal who licks up his and so on. Vaishnavas practice inner purity in the following way. First and foremost practice for inner purity is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Prabhupada writes about this in the Bhagavatam. He says, this process of purifying the mind is recommended by Lord Chaitanya. He says that one should chant Hare Krishna. He says further, Param Vijayati, all glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. All glories are given to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna, because as soon as one begins this process of chanting, the mind becomes purified. Chetudapanamarjanam. The mind is like a mirror, and it takes on all the impressions which you go through during the day. And by chanting the holy names of Krishna, one is cleansed of the dirt that accumulates in the mind. I think you are well accustomed to already say. You are used to this philosophy, you understand it. And I cannot stress enough the importance of chanting with a focused mind and an attitude full of affection to Krishna and an attitude of worshipping Krishna with the chanting of the holy name. This cleanses the mind from all the dirt accumulated there since many lifetimes. It's the prime process. See, there are some things which you can purify by taking a cloth and just putting good water in it, here, and then rubbing it like this. Yeah, it takes up the dirt. But then there is more subtle dirt, which you can find, for instance, on electronic devices. I remember it was at the, Sony Walkman. There is this little thing which picks up the vibrations which are on the linear, on the tape. I can only say the German word, the Tonkopf. And you would have to put the Tonkopf, this little thing which picks up the vibrations, into a liquid of medical alcohol, and then you would vibrate the alcohol and it would get all the dirt out. But how do you cleanse the mind? What will you do? How will you can't go with a piece of cloth inside through the ear and start to rub it on the dirty mind. It's a subtle entity which will not respond to gross cleaning devices. You take care of the dirt also by vibration, by spiritual sound vibration of the mantra. There is another way to purify the mind, which we will hopefully learn this evening. We will make an exercise when we do Kirtan and Krishna Katha. You actually think about Krishna and you pray to Krishna to help you become free from the impurities. That's a Vaishnava way. The way we do that is, this is maybe a little advanced for some of us who are still new on the spiritual path, but there is a process where you see anger and lust and so on as personifications of demons, And what you do is you become aware of these things in your meditation, that I have this problem, I have that problem, and then you meditate about Krishna and let him in essence deal with it by killing the demon inside. It's meditating about some of Krishna's Braj pastimes where he killed the demons, and where you invite the Lord to take care of these heavy contaminations which are inside of you. It's really a very interesting process which I think many of you have heard about but not yet done. But if you do it, we have we have in the Dharma module, we do this also with the more advanced students who go into higher levels of spirituality. What it really means is, in essence, you bring that contamination to the attention of Krishna and ask him to deal with it. If dealing with the pastime or meditating over pastime is something which is not taught to you in the yatras where you are practicing, then no problem. You can do it in another, more simpler way, by going before the deities, by revealing to them honestly your weaknesses and your failings, and asking the Lord to deal with it. This is a very simple way of doing it. It's as effective as meditating about the pastimes. Most probably more effective when you are not used to meditation, Krishna consciousness. But the idea really is to let Krishna deal with it. Yeah? This is the idea. If you do it this way or that way, it doesn't matter. My dear devotees, and my dear skeptics amongst you, keep your heart pure. It's the most important thing you have, the most important space you have. Your own heart, the heart space. Syam Gopal put a nice, he said, we once talked about the sacred space. That's true. Keep it pure. Don't allow that people with their dirty boots just walk through it and leave you in a mess. That is not good. And there's so much negativity in this world, so much impurity, so much chance for contamination that you need to be a little bit fixed up on this. I could talk now. I have exercises on discipline and on truthfulness and on compassion and so on. But I will refrain from taking you through this. I will just remind you to really make it a point to to connect with these principles. And I want to give you an exercise for the time after this retreat, which I see many of you take notes, so take notes, please. On truthfulness, that's the first principle. Try to give up lying to others. You will see, first of all, how often you lie. How are you? Wonderful! No, isn't it? How are you doing? Ravi, whenever he starts a phone call, I have analyzed this. He asks, how are you? And always you hear back, fine. He's miserable like a dog. But he says, fine. It's a small lie. If you will just go through your life with a broom of truthfulness, most probably you will find many things which you sweep up, which you see. But if you are truthful, if you are authentic and integer, a lot can happen to you. I would like to, it gives you so much strength. I found something I can't resist. I would like to tell you, the one who was very truthful, it's in the history of mankind, they say it was Abraham Lincoln. I don't know, but I heard he was very integer. Once he traveled with one, please help me now, Colonel, is it called Colonel? Military man. And they were in a coach, and they had a nice conversation. At one point, the colonel took out a little bottle of whiskey. It was in this silvery thing. He said, "Mr. Lincoln, won't you have a drink with me?" That's what men do in the Kami world. They drink just a little. Lincoln said, Mr. Colonel, thank you. I never drink any whiskey. For many more miles they rode together. Then the gentleman from Kentucky, the colonel, reached into his pocket and brought out some cigars. And he said, "Now, Mr. Lincoln, if you won't take a drink with me, won't you take a smoke with me?" Mr. Lincoln replied, "No, Colonel, you are such a fine, agreeable man to travel with. Maybe I ought to take a smoke with you. But before I do so, let me tell you a little story, an experience which I had when I was still a small boy." And then Lincoln revealed, "My mother called me to her bed one day when I was about 9 years old. She was sick, very sick. And she said to me, 'Abe,' it's interesting, they call it Abraham, 'Abe, the doctor tells me I'm not going to get well. I want you to promise me before I go that you will never use whiskey or tobacco as long as you live.' I promised my mother I never would. Up to this hour, Colonel, I have kept that promise. Now would you please allow me to break that promise to my dear mother and take a smoke with you?" Colonel took his hand gently on Mr. Lincoln's shoulder and said with a voice trembling with emotion, "No, Mr. Lincoln, I wouldn't have you do it for the entire world. It was one of the best promises you ever made. I would give $1,000 today if I had made my mother a promise like that and kept it as you have done." This is a story which tells you that he was integer. That means he was truthful to himself. And by this, he was connected to the principle of truthfulness and was quite influential in world history. He really removed slavery from America, and although he had to stand up to all the southern states who wanted slavery, he was one of the most important presidents of America, and one of his principles was truthfulness. It's a Dharmic principle. Wherever you find it, this will give you strength, my dear devotees. This will give you, will give you strength on your path to walk. Truthfulness, discipline to what you are truthful to, and inner and outer purity and compassion to others. You will contact these powerful Dharmic principles, and as a result, you will move forward and then find out your Swadharma. That's what we deal with tomorrow, your own place in life and the activities. But you must, and this is different in Krishna consciousness than in the modern self-help industry. You must first live a life on a fundament, the fundament of your Dharma house, which is the Dharma Codex. That is really unique. You will find it. I mean, these principles are known. That is not, but the constellation, these 4 principles, which I have enumerated to you, have given to you. So I really request you to make some experiments. Truthfulness. Don't speak a lie. Also not to yourself. Otherwise something breaks in you. Discipline. Get yourself out of bed and don't sleep longer than required to have your spiritual practices. Practice this discipline. You have to always think, I'm doing this for a higher purpose. Because if you break it, something in you breaks. And you are the one who is suffering if you break your Dharmic principles. Inner and outer purity. Avoid negative negativity and this inner dirt, you could say, or inner contamination, the 6 enemies, by just being more aware when you chant and purify. When you are internally pure, you are strong because you are in contact with Dharmic principle. When you are not pure, you are weak. And compassion, this most important principle for you. Do something for the good of others. In every exchange, try to help a person. Try to do this. And you will see, by just making a conscious effort to do this, I know most of you will not do it because the Hare Krishnas are immune to spiritual practice. But I'm trying to provoke you a little bit. When you do this, you will really find life is changing. It's really powerful. It's like this is now cold, doesn't work. But see what happens when I put it in connection with electrical principles. You should all sound like the Ragini. The sound of Dharma should come out of you, and you will become very happy. Yes, we will also think about what is our unique mission, what is our place, what is the one thing I can do and contribute. But that all comes later, as long as there are not these principles. And we will hear more about it a little bit at the end. I will make this a very big point at the end. You won't live in your Dharma. The house needs fundaments. Otherwise, everything is too weak. It will collapse very quickly. Your mental imaginations and your glowing yes and your talent search and so on. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So, I somehow feel we covered something this morning, and why now open another maybe a little I can open a little. Because I have what I give you is really an essence, but I really wish you to go with something you can do. But I see you're already looking into the distance, with concentrate. Can you still go on, or not more than half an hour? I promise. Not more than 20 minutes, actually. Because Prasad was, where's our Siam Gopal? I can go until 1 o'clock and then 1 to 1:30 question and answers, correct? Good, so we still have 20 minutes. I want to just prepare so that I can go tomorrow. Let me just see, is there a question regarding this at this stage? How do you like what you have heard? Are you convinced? Will you do something? Oh, that was too weak over yes. Can you please take note of this. You can't think yourself into Dharma. You have to act yourself into Dharma. You will never know what it is, what true Dharma is, if you don't act, really. You will never know what it is. You won't get the feel of it. It will be just one of these many nice weekends where you forget everything. Afterwards. Oh, it was nice. Yes, we laughed about Ganesha. That's all what we remember. No, this is serious, my dear devotees. And you will need it in order to make Pandava Sena all what it can become. You will need the strength of Dharma. Yes.
How do you stay truthful but at the same time be compassionate?
how do you stay truthful? No, how do you become truthful and at the same time be compassionate? True eloquence is when you state the truth in a pleasing way. You have to learn that. You can say the truth like using a clapping, and you can use it you can do it in a pleasing way. And there is this rule: Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat. You must tell the truth in a pleasing way. So pleasing way is you can do it when the person understands that what he is now hearing from you is for his or her best. You have to phrase it in such a way, and first of all you have to have the intention to really benefit the person, and then say it in such a way that he can accept it. For instance, that is a rule in our Sharanagati team. I have 6 people. One is a psychologist with whom we work on these concepts, and then because I'm very much, I grew up in our society, and I'm sometimes using words and concepts which are just which only someone will know who's in ISKCON. And I'm very, since I hope to be sincere, and I present to my team, and then my team has to say to me, this no one will understand except for some bhaktas who are in the bhakta code, but you want to get. So the team has agreed to, and then I feel bad. After working for 14 years, you say it stinks. It stinks what I made. So, and I said, can't you just tell it a little bit? They say, Maharaj, you want to reach an outside audience? And I go, yes. Maharaji, you have to clean up your language now. And they understand you. And then I can accept. Then they say, please, clean up is a little intense also. You tell the person, this is what you want, and this helps you to reach what you want. And then they will be interested to do this. I know these are the daily questions. How can I say things that are good? I will talk a little bit more, if I get the chance, about these Dharma in relationship to others. That Matajis will like very much. How to really apply these principles in relationships, with your husband and your everyone, the children and so on. And you will see that's very important. Acting ethically correct so that you influence your career in a very positive way. That is also part of it. Oh, there's so much, but now I will go a little bit in the... Now, it's really difficult. Can I ask maybe our Naveen Krishna Prabhu? I have talked with Naveen Krishna many times. That what would you do now? I have now, the next big subject is the Dharma quest, looking for your place and your activities. It's a real thing of burning interest. And I have one exercise where I will ask Bhuta Bhavana to present the DISC model for personality assessment. It's one of the many personality assessments where we just find out, because we want to find out our place, we need to first find out who we are, what we are made of. I somehow sense that we shouldn't put too much in one session, isn't it? I somehow feel from my energy level, oh, I'm so happy I said what I could present, what I could present. Feel a little exhausted myself, so you will be much more exhausted than me because I'm here firing away, Hey. Yeah, it's difficult. You don't know my.
Right, you have there's about 40 minutes left till 1:30.
Yeah.
And because we had 2 sessions, there might be quite a few questions.
I also think question and answers are good, and we get into discussions. I somehow feel the same. See, the problem is if we run through the material too fast, then you will nothing will stick. Better to stick a few things, like post-it in your mind, and then go with 3 post-its instead of 10 post-its, and then you don't do anything. Yeah. I will just introduce very... I'm sorry, I'm doing this the first time, and I now know I should ask for questions. Please, are there any questions? Mataji, first of all, I will ask you, Mataji, hello Mataji, you were asking me a question. Have I answered the question, or do you want more?
I just feel that sometimes we have things to say, but the way we come about or the way we might say to someone, it can hurt them. And just you want to be true to yourself, but then you also want to show compassion to a person. So I understand that you're saying to maybe make them understand how it comes across. But are there different ways?
Yeah, good. I could see. No, what I wanted to explain is, whenever you want to teach someone something or tell them something, you must first, which is maybe a little bit difficult for them to swallow, you must first of all make them see that this is in their best of interest. And sometimes, I have someone who's very close to me, I won't tell you who it is, and I want to tell this person something since 7 years, which is a blind spot in that person's life. And I know, without being invited by him to tell him this, he will not be able to hear with benefit from me. There are few devotees in my acquaintanceship who are very intelligent and who are also very wealthy. And I need these people to bring out the very way in a big way. It's a big need, I need intelligence, for certain things which I don't have, and I need money for physical buildings to build and so on. And so there are a few people who can give me what I need. But for that, I would have to tell them things like, we are speaking since many years about cooperating, but up to now we have not joined forces. And I want to talk to you today about why this is not possible for me to join forces with you. It has to do with a certain weakness which you have. So I would like to tell this to the person, but if I know that he won't be able to swallow it, there's no use in me to tell him this. It would just make the relationship more difficult. So in that case, I should refrain. I should think what is the best for him to hear. What can he hear? Now, you have a Pandava Sena Mataji case, that is, someone is on your nerves, and you feel the need, you have to tell them truthfully, you stink, right? Is it such a situation? It's such a situation, isn't it? Now, I'm very blunt. It must be, because I know my Pandava Senas, it must be something in that area. You are laughing, it means for me you agree. Yeah. The best way to protect yourself is to learn to draw borders. You know what that means? You say, when you do this, I come to a limitation, to my limitations, and I come into a situation where I don't want to be. I do not appreciate you any longer. My temperature raises. I become irritated, and so on and so forth. So I kindly request you to not to take note of this. This is what I feel when you act like this. Mataji, I would request you, I would suggest to you, because these are communication skills, and one is you have to put a border around you and tell the person, please don't step over this border. It is necessary. Somehow you have to show it to a person. Sometimes it's enough to say to the person, when you do this, I become really sad. I cannot deal. I become helpless. Tell them what the person does to you and how it makes you feel, what it does in him. And most of the time, the person, if he is not a rascal, and most people are not rascals with whom you have with whom you're dealing with, oh no, oh maybe, oh I did not want this, I didn't want this Mataji to feel like this with my actions. Okay, she told me now, and now I will keep this. This is the first and most mildest form of setting a border. But sometimes we need to do this, setting borders. Those who have not learned this when they were children are often abused by others, where others go into their private space. And this can go to the worst cases of abuse, which we don't even want to think about. But to set borders is necessary. And the easiest way to set a border is to say, when you do this, it makes me feel like this, and my reaction is like this. This is a communication skill which you will be able to learn when you come to my the Sattva module, where you learn interpersonal skills with the spiritual. I highly recommend this for modern people. Very, how to act in relationship with others and attain emotional and relational well-being. Very important. Thank you for again getting back to me, and that's very good. Then I could get it. Setting borders is very important for many of us, because sometimes the world wants to roll over us, then we are not able to function nicely. Any other question, please? Yes, Abhishek, the Vedanga player.
Maharaj, I was just, you just said something in the earlier session that you said a statement which I didn't understand. I just wanted you to clarify it. And I think you were quoting from Manu Samhita. I think the quote was something like, one who protects his dharma is protected by dharma.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand what that meant, and if you could give an example of what that means.
Very, very good. Very good question. That's for Manu Samhita, and we find the same statement in the Mahabharata coming from the mouth of Yudhishthira Maharaj, the emperor. The statement is, someone who protects Dharma is protected by Dharma, someone who hurts Dharma is hurt by Dharma. The example really is that the Pandavas were under the rule of Dharma and Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira. There was a very interesting incident at the beginning of the Battle of Kurukshetra, which shows you how powerful Dharma is. Because the Pandavas and the Kauravas are technically both from the same clan. They're both Kurus. Just to distinguish Yudhishthira and his brothers from Duryodhana and his brother, we call the Pandavas and the others the Kauravas. But they are one clan, one dynasty in which Krishna appeared. So at the outset of the Battle of Kurukshetra, both Arjuna and Duryodhana went to Lord Krishna in Dwaraka to ask him for support in the upcoming military conflict between them. But at the time when they arrived, Krishna was resting. So Duryodhana very cleverly set himself at the head of Krishna, and Arjuna very humbly set himself down on Krishna's bed where his feet were, where Krishna's feet were. And after, they didn't speak, respecting the rest, that the Lord was taking a rest. So when the Lord opened his eyes, he saw Arjuna first, and he said, I know why you have both come to me. You want to ask me to support you in the military conflict. I shall support you. This is how I support. Either I will come, one side of you can have my military force, the powerful Narayaniyas, very powerful soldiers, never beaten in battle. The other side can have me, but I will not take my Sudarshan weapon, nor any other weapon. I will only be there. So because when I opened my eyes, I first looked down to my feet and saw Arjuna. He can ask me what is his preferred choice. Then only after Arjuna has made his choice between my army and myself, Duryodhana can ask. Arjuna said, my Lord, I want only you. I will not fight. It doesn't matter. I want only you. It's called Sacinandana. He was giving up the convention of the world, surrendering to the Lord. Duryodhana said, this poor idiot, and rubbed his head. I want your army, Krishna, and he went out of the room and back to Hastinapur, the most happy man. I have the Narayaniyas on the battle is won. It was a Sacinandana decision of Arjuna. Pandavas had so much less military phalanx than Duryodhana. But at the outside set of the battle, that means when it just started, Yudhishthira, imagine this scene, Abhishek. The battles the battlefronts were clear. Both armies were posing for battle. All of a sudden they see, the Kauravas see that Yudhishthira gets down from his chariot and alone walks over the battlefield. Duryodhana said, I'm so much disappointed now, this weakling, what is the English word, this coward comes to us to seek for peace. Most probably we have to grant it. He was itching to see blood, Duryodhana. Yudhishthira walks and walks and walks. Duryodhana thinks Yudhishthira comes to him, but Yudhishthira walks past Duryodhana. He goes to Bhishma with tears in his eyes. He touches the feet of the grandsire and says, Bhishma, please allow us that we fight with you. You are our grandfather. And please allow us that we defeat you. Well spoken, said Bhishma. If you would not have come, if you would not have paid deference to showing respect to elders, that's a Dharmic principle which we will learn in ethical dealings, you would have lost. Now you will win. Yudhishthira was not finished. There was another elder, another guru, and that was, please help me, Dronacharya, the military martial art guru. Yudhishthira bowed down, touched the feet and said, Guruji, may I fight with you? Please bless me. Oh, very good, said Dronacharya. Of course, yes, this is Kshatriya. These Dharmic principles come to the oldest. You will fight with us and you will defeat us, no problem. These great souls are not attached to the body. It's no problem. There are many, many, many little incidents where Dharmaraj Yudhishthira followed the Dharma codex. And because of this, he had the power of the universe behind him. Hare Krishna. Even in this battle. So, Dharma protects those who protect their Dharma. But Dharma hurts you. The same sword which cuts, let us say, a tree or an obstacle will turn against you when you break it. Thank you, Abhishek. A very relevant question. Yes, Abhishek.
Can I just ask a second question leading on from that?
Would you be agreeable that we go and give others a chance? If you have time, we will go to you. Park the question, keep it. Yes, here is our, let me see, Vinay has a question, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your excellent first part of your seminar.
Oh, it can be better.
We just had a question. The 4 principles of discipline, compassion, inner purity, and
inner and outer also, don't
inner and outer
forget.
purity, and there's another one which I forgot.
Compassion.
And compassion.
Yeah.
These, obviously, they're universal principles, but because we're all different and we're of different varnas, so maybe Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, Shudras, or Vaishyas, these different varnas I've heard that they can use these principles in different ways. For example, I've heard that a Vaishya can cheat, or a Kshatriya can eat meat in some situations.
Yeah.
So then how do we understand what proportion to use these principles to, depending on our own nature?
A very, very good question, Vinay. Very good question you posed. Have you all understood Vinay's question? Yeah. Good. There is one Samhita, which is a big part of the Dharma module. It's the Parama Samhita. And there it gives different appliances of these universal principles according to the different varnas. But it makes the point, for Vaishnavas, devotees of Krishna, this is the way to deal. And I'm teaching Vaishnavas here, who are predominantly Vaishnavas. And so, when you are as a Vaishnava, let us say you are in a business, you want to build a temple for Krishna. You may say things like, my product is the best, the others are not so good, and you know, they're really not so good, you know, but little like this is all right. But truthfulness still remains important. Therefore, you know, when you want to stay in the world, you can meddle with these things a little, but if you want to get out, or if you want to develop love of Krishna, you must follow them as much as possible. There are obviously some dharmic situations where you have to use your brain to see what is appropriate. And the Mahabharata gives room for this, that even brahmanas must sometimes tell a lie. This is the example, but this is up to the intelligent discretion. You must have intelligent discretion. This is the difficult dharmic situation. There was a saint, his name starts with K, but I forgot the entire name, and he had made a vow to observe absolute truthfulness. So once he sat before his little cottage, and he saw some gentlemen running by who were absolutely in terror, and they asked me, I said, good hiding place, please, good hiding place. They're after us. And he said, just go there in the forest, there's a clearing, and at the edge of the clearing there are some good bushes, you can hide there. Next, he saw a gang of murderers. They had knives and they looked the way they, thieves and robbers. He said, did you see some people running by here? Now he had made the vow of truthfulness. He said, yes. Where are they hiding? In the clearing behind some bushes. Truthfulness. So was this good or was it not good? This is discussed in Mahabharata, and the answer is no, it was not good, because to protect the life of others is supremely, is most important. This compassion and ahimsa, compassion rules really supreme. You must act for the benefit of others. And if you have this principle, if you act by this principle, you usually will know when to cheat and when not to. Maharaj gave a Dharma Sena, and he said, when you have this principle, you will know how to apply the other ones. This is for Vaishnavas the supreme one, and should be the measuring rod, how you deal intelligently according to the different difficult situations in life, and with this. Very happy with this. Now, on another note, Vinay. When I was working on the Dharma module, I obviously studied Prabhupada's books, the Varnas and so on, and Varnashram. I had been part of an initiative where we tried to divide our devotees in different Varnas and make Varnashram Dham in Germany as the social structure. We had done our best. The international intelligence. We had so many devotees who were thinking about this, coming and visiting us to see how we would make it work. And here's something I would say now to my critics. It was very difficult to make it work. And I know in the lifetime of Prabhupada, he also did not make it work. He was, because it's so difficult. I've discussed this with my Brahminical godbrothers, and they said, Maharaj, I'm sincere, I can't say I'm a pure Brahmana, nor can I say I'm a pure Kshatriya, nor can I say I'm a pure Vaishya or Sudra. It is very difficult. We should keep this in mind a little bit, and we will deal with this a little bit, but it's very difficult to, for instance, look at me. I'm born from not a general, but something underneath the general, a warrior body. I'm not a warrior any longer. I really think in Vrindavan, when a mosquito comes and attacks me, I know I can fight with it and defeat it by Shastric law. You know, but I just don't like to do it. I prefer that he bites me. Of course, I have a mosquito net. But I don't like this any longer. I don't like to harm living entities. It is like this. So am I now, okay, then you're not a Kshatriya, Sacinandana Swami, then you are a pure-hearted Brahmana. Oh, if you would know, I also sometimes like to eat too much. I sometimes am not so attracted to cleanliness. You know, like I do not take 3 baths a day because I would die from the cold, you know, and so on. It's very difficult even for us. I like to do Brahminical activities, but am I therefore a pure-hearted Brahmin? I find other things. At this moment, I want to build a retreat center, and then I want to build the Vedic Way. And now we are buying a big castle in Germany, a real big one, and I'm thinking a little bit about Lakshmi. Am I now a Vaishya because of this? And no, I have this tendency also. So I think we should keep it in mind, because after all, Krishna created this structure, but in Kali Yuga, this really has gone out of sync, and think the scriptures say in Kali Yuga everyone is born a Shudra. They say this. You might have heard this. So better you go by truthfulness, and then you apply some intelligence according to the appropriate situation. Remember that Brahmana who was stubbornly clinging to truthfulness but didn't know of the higher principle that is non-violence or not harming others, and therefore you needed to do this. In the Mahabharata, there is a Sanskrit word even, but there's Dharma. Can you help me with the English word? Dharma pat, is it a pat? When you cannot move in this direction and that direction? When you are in chess playing, you checkmate, yes, stalemate, yes. Difficult situation. What to do now? It's really difficult. And then, because it's not always, there is a difficulty in being Dharmic. So these situations are always solved by referring to the higher principles and the higher principles of Dharma. This is how to solve these situations.
I think that I've also heard that the Varnashram model doesn't apply to the pure devotees, so that's why it doesn't apply to you. So.
You have a very high opinion of me. Anyways, let's not argue about this. Janakinath. We saw each other in Radhadesh, Janakinath.
Thank you for your session, Maharaj, and we look forward to the next one. Maharaj, my question goes back to Abhishek's question about, you mentioned how if you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you, and if you destroy Dharma, then Dharma destroys you also. So Maharaj, again, going back to Mahabharata, on the battlefield we know Kauravas didn't protect Dharma, and therefore, you know...
I couldn't acoustic it.
The Kauravas didn't protect Dharma.
Did not.
Yes. Right? And therefore, that was the cause of the destruction. But Maharaj, in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everyone got liberated, that they got the Swarupa of Krishna, including the Kauravas. So something, those who don't protect Dharma, but out of Krishna's causes mercy, even Dharma even protects those who destroy it. How do you understand that?
Well, the way to understand this, could you all understand Janakinath's question? Yeah, good. The way to understand it is Krishna's presence is so auspicious. I heard this about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence also. Everyone, Janakinath, who was in his kirtans, the Lord leading the kirtans, was obtaining prema bhakti, the highest state of love of God. That means going back to Godhead. There was no consideration of offense even during Lord Chaitanya's time. I mean, except for Vaishnava Parat, he did not. He really did not. But even Jagai and Madai got the full mercy. Because this is the presence of the Lord. You know Janakinath, Rupa Goswami describes about Krishna that he can purify everything. And he gives the example of the sun. The sun can purify everything, even a dirty place where people have urinated. If the sun shines on that, it is purified after some time. Purity doesn't, the Lord's doesn't mean just that he is pure himself, but he purifies everything. So there was an extraordinary circumstance. God was on the battlefield, and anyone who was in the presence of God dying got liberated, even the rascals, because his presence overrules everything. It's a special thing. But that presence of Krishna is very rare. It comes after so many yugas, one time, and so on. So we who are not in that battlefield need to keep, we cannot follow the path of Duryodhana, otherwise we will be destroyed. It was an extraordinary circumstance with Krishna's presence. Also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's times, I mean, he sent the whole universe back home, back to God, by his presence. And people were not more, that doesn't mean people were qualified, but he was qualified to overrule everything. Praise the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you.
Made us remember Krishna. I will look a little also towards the Mataji's that I'm. Yes, Mataji, please. Sorry.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Earlier you were speaking about not letting other people walk in your consciousness with their dirty shoes. And I was just thinking that sometimes we have our friends, or you might have a mentee who goes to the mentor with bad situations that can affect your consciousness. How do you protect yourself?
You have a mentee who has...
Not me, personally.
No, but I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker, so it's you have to speak like to a stranger, a foreigner, yes.
Sometimes we might have people who come to us with their problems.
Yeah.
So how do you protect yourself and also keep yourself open and compassionate towards them?
What a wonderful question you have asked. Very important question for our mentorship also. You see, in the professional field of helping others, there's something like compassion fatigue. It happens when you deal with too many people who, and you do need a pause. You can see when you enter into the compassion fatigue, you can study a few symptoms in you. You really do want to be alone now. You really do not want to meet anyone. You really don't want to sit with anyone. You feel that. It's a response from the guts, so to say. Another symptom of compassion fatigue is that you are easily irritable. Another compassion fatigue is very common. You just can't imagine to go to that situation and helping people in the same way you help people. You don't see any meaning in that any longer. You don't see it will be successful any longer. It's all signs of compassion fatigue. And those who work as mentors, as preachers, they must keep in good spiritual health. They must have spiritual strength. So sometimes this may mean to go on a retreat, a personal retreat. I have seen this very, very much. As a preacher, I have often been in situations where, where I was asked to go, where I was in one party, preaching party, when the preaching was, and then I would go out of the car and I would have to speak to a commune of many young people, many of them hippies, or I would have to enter a rock and roll festival and go to the stage and give an address to everyone. And I felt sometimes so weak that I can't do it. I don't have the inner strength now. And when this happens, you need to take care of your spiritual health. It's really, you need to be a little selfish. And you enter into, here's compassion on one side, and here is self-care. Okay, compassion. Here's compassion, here's self-care. So if you do too much on compassion, you get exhausted and you go down with your whole life. You come to the stage of compassion fatigue, you're exhausted, you're burned out. Then you must go up again by not going towards compassion, but to go to the extreme, self-care. Give me a microphone. Where is the, can you give me the flip chart? It's really good. It's really good. It will help you a lot with your dealings. It's good for Pandava Sena. Right? This is compassion, okay? On the extreme end of the opposite of compassion, where you go out to others, is self-care. Yes. Care. Okay? There's a dynamic relationship. Now when you exaggerate with compassion, you go down. And you arrive at fatigue. If you exaggerate with self-care, you go down, and where do you arrive? Selfishness, egoism. Egoism. So we all exaggerate, especially Pandava Senas. So the need when you come to fatigue is to go to the opposite of compassion in the direction of self-care. Take some time off, expend the time. Now, if you are doing so much self-care, the danger is you will become to selfishness, and then you need to go to compassion. This is core. This is one thing in the Vedic way, where we teach how. It's called the square of self-development. This is what we called it. We somehow detected it. One of our research members found this, and we applied it to these Vedic or Dharmic concepts, compassion. We have many such. It's obvious you take it when you go compared to the other extreme, too much self-care. You will go down, egoism. Too much compassion, fatigue. When you are in the fatigue area, you go just up, you can go up by going to the other extreme, self-care. When you are in the egoism thing, you go here to compassion. Very, very, very important thing. Can you understand? Yeah? Thank you so much. There's a lot of psychology behind it, but this works. You know, in the Vedic way, we try to make things simple, which work immediately, and not go too mental. But the self-development square is this. In relationship to compassion, there are many other qualities which you can go. You have to be. The idea is you have to be balanced or sattvic in your life. I don't know if I explained it very clearly, but ponder about it, you will figure it out. It's what is this? Wow, we made it. I know there are more questions. Park the questions. We will have other question and answer sessions. I was very, very happy to be with you today. We will now have many things. Our Shyam Gopal will give us an orientation. Yes, first Buddha Bhavana will round the session up, and then Shyam Gopal will just briefly address us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this is a summary of the excellent introduction to the Dharma model by Maharaj. So Maharaj is making the point that actually we all have a unique purpose in life, we all have a unique Dharma, and that by coming to understand that, we can actually make our unique contribution, and we can also start to understand the corresponding activities. Maharaj excellently gave the example of it within his own life, that he was expected to take on more of a managerial role, and that it just wasn't fitting to him. And the idea is that as we start to understand our Dharma, which comes by living according to the 4 pillars of Dharma, which are truthfulness, compassion, inner and outer purity, and also, the last one is? Discipline, yes. But by living in that particular way, we start to have our Dharma unfold, and we can start to understand more about the Dharma. I thought there was an excellent story rather about the different animals who were in the different races or competition, and how within some circles they did very well, in others they completely failed. And I think it was a very powerful and excellent illustration of how important it is to be well situated within our own particular Dharma so we can move forward. And so within that, we started to do some exercises around those different 4 pillars of Dharma, and especially we did an exercise looking at how the mind and the mental state actually also affects us physically as well. And so Dr. Maharaj was emphasizing how by having the right mentality and by not allowing the inner negativities to kind of grow up within the consciousness, we can actually become stronger and the Dharma can start to unfold. So ultimately, the point was made that there is a roof to the Dharma, and that is the roof of Sacinandana Dharma as well, which is the ultimate Dharma. And in the Q&A, Maharaj was emphasizing that sometimes where there seems to be a contradiction on one level, but by a higher understanding, these things are reconciled. So, in essence, we've begun our journey by understanding that we all have our unique contribution and unique place, and that by following according to the principles or laws of Dharma, the Dharma Codex, we'll start to really understand what our unique contribution can be, as opposed to some speculative self-help ideas, but we'll really start to have a real deeper, more spiritual insight on how we can position ourselves strongly in order to do more for ourselves and also for others.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
The idea is the way will show itself when you start walking it. The very, very important principle. You can't think yourself into the Dharma. You must act dharmically and connect with what is dharmic, and then it brings you there. Your whole life changes, really. Really, you will find out. Thank you, Buddha Bhavana. Yes, you are a good student.